I'll tell you who's got a big call.
Go on.
It's Arthur Hayes. So for anyone that doesn't know Arthur Hayes, he was the CEO of BitMEX. It was like an exchange way back in the day. He was one of the first sort of adopters in crypto, and now he's just like a big voice in the crypto space.
Yeah, massive, just colourful voice.
Very colourful, and he makes some controversial, pieces. He writes really well, and he's very funny, a bit crude and crass, but it's always quite interesting.
But definitely like a hype man in both directions. So I think he's been criticised for that quite a bit in the recent past. But look,
exactly.
Fine.
Look, he keeps it entertaining. Which is what we're trying to do here.
Yeah.
But look, there's two parts to this. So the main part is he's talking about the strategic reserve not getting approved, right?
Wait, didn't it get reserved? What?
No. So that was a stockpile, but he's referring
reserve.
to a strategic reserve where the US government actively
Goes and
buys
buys
up Bitcoin,
Sure.
whether that be through taxpayer money, printing out more money, or through other methods where we've mentioned, revaluing their gold assets, potentially through tariff revenue as well.
Yep.
So it's like there's a lot of different ways, but he's come out and said that he doesn't think, because of Trump's image, and he's the image of Trump is currently tumbling because of the tariff, and his approval rating is tumbling. So he doesn't think Trump is going to do that, because currently the narrative around crypto is, if we buy crypto, who are the people that are going to fare the best? It's the crypto bros who are just going to go, and I think he uses the term, go down to the club for champagne, or like buy bottles of champagne at the clubs. So he doesn't think, like, optics wise, that's going to be a very good move for Trump, and so Trump's going to avoid that. However, he follows it up by saying, do I think Bitcoin's going to hit $1 million by 2030? He thinks it's going to hit it before 2028.
Before 28?
Which 2028 sounded like a long time, maybe last year or the year before. Now it's like, that's close.
Yeah, it's close.
That's real close.
Did he say anything about why 2028?
Yeah, so he justifies it. So he says the changing in sentiment when it comes to institutional investment. So we've seen the ETFs, but also like he says, like, in the last couple of years, sentiment around Bitcoin has changed from like, it's like a
drug money.
It's like a Nasdaq-y, no, not even that. Like even just like, it's like a Nasdaq-y type risk on asset to this is a hedge against the current.
It's a global asset.
Yeah, against all of America's shortcomings.
Yep.
And he says, like, appetite is just growing and growing, particularly with institutions. And the fact that it is a global asset also helps as well. So, $1 million by 2028.
It's not bad. I mean, that's like Michael Saylor. He always talks about Bitcoin being only $0.1 million. Like, always just framing it like it's destined to hit the big one.
It's a smart tactic.
Well, let me tell you someone who doesn't think it's going to get to $1 million. Our good friend Jim Cramer. So Jim Cramer, famous host of Mad Money. I think a lot of people would say, even if they're in crypto now, they probably got started on Jim Cramer in the Mad Money days, just getting them even interested in financial markets. So we'll give him that. Like, it's
a show on American free-to-air TV, and he just talks about the stock market, right? And
stocks are buys, they're sells, gives advice, but it's not advice because he's talking to a global audience on TV, so it's not personalized. So he's
always had some pretty shocking takes. I watched a Netflix doco about how he's talking about Goldman Sachs.
Yeah.
It was an absolute buy. Like you can't go wrong. And then it had all that fraud like come out, and it absolutely tanked. So
anything, he's got the kiss of death.
But he seems to just like take it in his stride as well. Anyway, what's he said?
Well, he has said in the last 8 hours, today on a Tuesday, that I don't believe Bitcoin can reach $500,000 per coin, let alone 1 million. That's impossible. So for all of those that have been playing along at home, Jim Cramer's tweets on a Bitcoin chart, you'll notice that it does the exact opposite every time he says what sort of, if it's positive or negative.
Well, famously, he's been pretty anti-Bitcoin.
Recently,
and
annoyingly.
Then recently, he's like, you know what? People should buy some Bitcoin or something to that nature. And then, it's called the inverse Cramer indicator.
I think there used to be an ETF in the US that was the inverse Cramer. I think it closed down recently, but it basically just fade the opposite of what he said.
Well, I mean, like, what's he said? Has he had anything to back this up, or is he just making a statement?
Couldn't find the context, just statements. So obviously would have been on his show. But I mean, for all of us, it's very much a sigh of relief, because I was seeing his calls for you can't afford not to have Bitcoin in your portfolio with some of his recent calls, and that was before we saw like a bit of a tumble in the market. So I'm very keen to be seeing this sort of message coming from the big man, so could be quite positive for us.
Yeah, wonderful.